Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by BetMGM with myself, Kate Tracey. Dave Young with his tan in check then as well, back from his holiday, has joined us. Now we've subbed out Andrew, brought back Dave, and Matty has become the regular therefore on the show. So Matty Sutcliffe is back with us as well. Now the lads bookended the card last weekend with loads of races to go at, but of course Matty did have the winner with Nelly Laylac. Andrew had the 1-2 in the Irish 2000 Guineas, of course, Rosalian beating Hartem. I was with Rosalian as well then. So we did have the winners, but we're hoping for even better this weekend. We've only got the 5 races at Epsom to go at, but of course, it is Derby weekend. So we've got the big one then to concentrate in on. And the lads are really confident as well. But before we get on to the action properly, a reminder to like and subscribe again to GG's YouTube channel. The unders just about won for the 41 subscribers last time, but only just one. So we're going to hope that we can push that to the overs then for 41 subscribers this weekend. Please help us out with that. Right, on to the action. We begin with the 2 o'clock at Epsom, the Group 3 Princess Elizabeth Stakes for the 3-year-olds and over a mile and half a furlong. Dave, you wanted to go first in this one, so please take it away.
Yeah, I've had a lovely little rest. I feel rejuvenated. It's like... Not I wasn't excited to look at the races before, but the 10 races the boys had to go through last week would have been a bit of a chore, to be fair. But these 5 races this weekend, as you say, it's Derby weekend. This is just all class. And there's a couple of races which wouldn't be my typical bag. But when you get to the top tier of racing, everything's my bag. I wanted to mainly go first in this, right? Because I know we don't have Andrew with us this week, but I've got loads of horses to moan about in here. So I thought I'd just get the Andrew Mount out of the way, and then we can crack on with the winners. No offense, Andrew, if you are watching and subscribing. We've had some 3-year-old winners of this in recent years. So when you glance at like official ratings with the adjustments in there, Sheet Columbine would come out £9 clear on top. However, I don't like the form of a penultimate win, that listed win. I don't think the form looks very good. It was on heavy ground, which she's definitely not going to encounter here. I don't think she needs the heavy ground. I just think that day lots of them didn't like it. So I do like those adjusted rating things when they come out on top, but I don't like Sheet Columbine. So while I'm moaning at runners, I think Running Lion goes best fresh. And while her last one was probably good enough to land this, she did hang, which isn't ideal. Newmarket's not the same as running Epsom either. She was withdrawn in the Oaks last year when she got upset pre-race. This isn't Oaks Day, this is Derby Day, which can only be busier. So it may not have been the occasion got to her, but also it could have been. So line through her. Sparks Fly wants it really wet, so I can have a little, another go at another horse in there. Breeze was behind Royal Dress, and the winner's been put up £15 for that. For like it was a short head win of beating of Novas, wasn't it? That was her first start for James Tate. One fresh first time up last season, and I'm not truly sold that she actually is 100+ filly, so I'd happily let her run. The market agrees with that too, I think, because they've got Breeze about half the price. She typically comes on from her first run, but she's had just 1 win from 12 starts as Breeze, so that definitely tempers enthusiasm. I didn't even need to do all of that, right? Because it's not a process of elimination selection, this race. I really, 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 really fancy Astral Beau to win this race. She was only 3/4 of a length third in the race 12 months ago. That run came on good to firm ground. I'm going to touch on the ground about 80 times, even though we're only covering 5 races on this, because it will not be the same ground as it was last year. She's had the same 2 prep runs this year, so it's by design they're coming back here. Pam Sly knows how to get a winner. Also, there is wet ground out there already. I don't think there's much more range. It's not going to start going soft, but if you do look at her form, right, she's a good ground winner, but her form figures where there's a bit of soft in description read 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 2. It was, like I say, good to firm last year. It's not going to be that ground. She's got optimum conditions. They've clearly like trained her with this race in mind. She's got just a massive chance. I can't understand how she is available. Top price at the time of recording, 14-1 for this race. I think there was some 16 shown on the odds comparisons, but that was pre-final declarations. She's 10-1 in some places. You get 3 places up for grabs. Astral Beau is a very strong fancy to kick us off to a winner in the opener.
16-1 wasn't a process of elimination race, but 16-1 for Astral Beau in here. Now, Matty, you were celebrating in the background. I always wish we had these like little images of us lined up next to each other when someone else is talking, because you were giving it large. So I'm guessing you agree.
Yeah, Dave must have been reading the column that went out yesterday, and I completely agree with everything that he said, and with Astral Beau as well. She was 3rd in the race last season, as Dave mentioned, on a ground quick enough for her. No, but that came behind Prosperous Voyage and Random Harvest, and I've got to be honest with you, I don't think there's much in this race that you could say has the calibre of those two horses. Yeah, follows the same prep as Dave said, don't cost a mile. And I think that, although she was £2 below the RPR when she won it last season, that run was behind, she finished behind Sharon. Sharon came out and won at Sandown next time out. Then obviously was the only horse to kind of come out of the pack and finish second to Audience in the lock-ins. So I think that form, all the RPRs disagree with us, and I think that performs much better than what she showed last season. You can draw a line through the run at Newmarket as well. She was sixth in the race last season on ground that suited her. She was well beaten in the race this time on ground didn't suit her. And not she was raced on the middle part of the race early on, didn't suit whatsoever. And so you draw a line right through that. Love the ground, and yeah, I think she'll be able to go 2 places better.
Okay, you two in agreement then with the 16-1 shot in our opener. I wonder Dave wanted to go first there. This has worked out perfectly then for you two in that opener, but it is interesting on the ground exactly what to expect at Epsom. Currently listed as good to soft, but of course they had a lot of rain earlier on in the week, and then they had some more on Wednesday. There was a risk of showers Thursday as we record, so we're not entirely sure what's going on there now. Thursday afternoon, some of which could be heavy. Chance of light showers Friday, but otherwise dry on Friday, and then Saturday and up to 20 degrees by the end of the week. So, I mean, the weather's playing havoc with us. Not entirely sure what to expect, but at the minute it is good to soft with some showers forecast. Right, 2:35 then. The Group 3 Diomed Stakes for the 3-year-olds and over a mile and a half a furlong. Again, 5-1 the field in this one. So, Massey, the market is really struggling with this one. Were you likewise?
Yeah, it's a tricky kind of race, this race. I think I've always thought it's like one of them races where it's class horses who are a bit tripless, like not quite speed enough for a mile, don't quite stay well for 10 furlongs to kind of match those top class horses that do. So this obviously consolation race for him, you know, over the mile and a half a furlong. And I think Highland Avenue's got much better chance this time around than he did when second to Regal Reality in the race last season. Again, ground coming to him quick enough, and I know that he's got to give him £3 this time around, but I think if the ground does turn up, I think it will do. If it does turn up soft, then it'll be enough to reverse the form. I know that he's been well beaten in Maidan in his last 3 starts, but if you go back and look at those last 2 runs, he just played the hair for stablemates. Like, he just shot off, went in front, and there was no kind of there was no trying there, if you know what I mean. And so yeah, I think coming back to these shores, he loves the ground. He's one a win and a second at Group 3 level. And I think in a smaller field from the front, he'll suit the informed Chala and Will and Duke team.
Okay, right then. Chancing that form to be reversed from last year for Matty. Dave, who did you like?
Well, I like the profile of the horse that Matty described at the start of it. It's the horses that probably aren't quite quick enough for a mile and don't really stay that much further. There are a lot of them that you would say, well, they are quick enough because they won at a mile, and there will be plenty of them that you say, well, they do stay further because they've stayed a bit further. My horse is also a Group 3 winner. It's not the one that Matty said, though. So I'll just quickly skim through a few of them just because, you know, we might as well waffle. There's only 5 runners. So obviously, Regal Reality did win it last year, but I can't remember a back-to-back winner of the Diomed Stakes. I do know that Century Dream regained his title, didn't he? But that tempers enthusiasm a little bit. And I know Highland Avenue is £3 worse off. I can see the cases Matty kept making, especially on the ground side of it. I think they've both got obvious chances. You know, when there's just something that's nagging in the back of your head, just saying they'll be there, but they're going to get beat. Investo's one of those as well that falls into that bracket where I think he could be in and around there, but I just don't think he'll win. At least he's got a first-time hood on though, right, which can help excuse some of his runs. But I don't know what it makes me think of Andrew Mountain, even like, probably with all the horses, right? I know he likes to talk about quite a few of them, but Epictetus, where he says that's what the Northerners call really good roasties, didn't he? I think he's got a real proper chance. I think that, like, he won here last season, didn't he, on soft ground? That was one mile 2. So we talk about these horses that they might not stay that far, but they would have won a race. He was 2-5 favourite that day. Didn't win as a 2-5 shot should do, but he did still win. Next win after that came at Goodwood when they cited the drop back and trip to a mile being the reason why he improved. This is an extended mile. It's a mile and a half a furlong. So I think the fact he's won at the track, the fact that he's won in and around the trip is just ideal for him. His first run last time was after being gelded, and I know he does always run well fresh, but lots of the Gosling's horses this season, I think, have come forward for their run, whereas previously you might expect them to have gone well fresh. I know you've got to be a little bit forgiven of the fact that, you know, obviously after being gelded, he didn't run as well first time up, but like I say, he's already a Group 3 winner, already a course winner, so I think he's a fair enough price at 6-1. But like you said at the start of it, Kate, the market's got quite a few of them in there at sort of a mixed bag of prices. It does look like one of those races. There's probably 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 that have got a chance of actually winning this one. But Epictetus would be the one if you force me for a selection to bet 6-1.
And what a nice thought that Andrew Mount is in your thoughts then when looking. But to be fair, I'm the exact same. Whenever I see Epictetus, I do think of Mr. Mount as well. Always in our thoughts, always in our hearts when there's 2 Mr. Mount then. But yeah, Epictetus, I wonder if he'll be siding with him. But he is one of those ones, 6-1 bet MGM, 3 places each way plus race then for this one. But it is one of those races where if you ran this 10 times, you wouldn't be surprised if you got sort of, well, how many horses got 8? Maybe not 10 different winners then, 8 different winners for it. But it's such a winnable race. And I agree with the pair of you two where you've got horses in here who are caveated for various reasons, whether it's trip related or what. But I think that, as I say, the betting's reflective of that as well. And the ground is playing havoc with my assessments of this race because the ground, if it is on the softer side, will suit Highland Avenue, as you were saying there, a lot more so than Regal Reality, the 1-2 of this race last year. But I'm hoping the temperatures will soar this weekend and it will dry out just enough for Regal Reality that it'll be no excuse ground for anyone in here and that he can win this race. As you said, Dave, not an easy thing to do to win it back to back then for this. And Highland Avenue, second in the race last year, is a 2-1 favourite. Now, I know that Regal Reality, he hasn't won since then. He is now a 9-year-old, but he's coming into this race with better RPRs to his name than he did even with last year. And when he really obviously needed that reappearance start last year before taking this race. But he's had the 2 starts this time around. Both were right up there with his best runs from last year on the figures, which suggests that he's very much the same horse this time around, despite his advancing years. Now, as I say, the ground may just be a bit soft for him, but I thought Investor was worth taking on after that disappointing reappearance run in Group 3 company. Highland Avenue, we haven't seen him for 99 days. Maidan runs over the winter. For all that, as you said, Matty, you can forgive some of those. I did think they were disappointed all the same. So 2 horses shorter in the betting for me that were worth taking on. Last year's winner, Regal Reality for me. So different selections then. We've changed it up from the first race. Knew the agreement wouldn't last long. Now we move on to the 310. Tricky race this one. 0-90, the 3-year-old dash handicap. For the 3-year-olds over 5 furlongs. Now, this is another each way plus race with BetMGM. Thank goodness. 5 places on offer for this one. So, Dave, do you want to go first with this one then? It's back to you for this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to. That's the thing. The 5 races we're covering, 2 of them being 5 furlong handicaps. I've touched on the fact that they might not be my typical bag to get into, but when it's Epsom, they are exciting. This is one that's not so exciting, right? But I do feel like as a team, we're playing it quite well so far. We've obviously given the winner of the first. We've covered as many selections as we can in the second race, which is the right thing to do, right? Market suggests the same. It's an open-looking race. There will be better bets on the card. This is one of those where I will have to hold my hand up and say there's so many runners in there. It's 3-year-old form. I want to go back and watch lots of the replays of it. But when there's better racing that's out there, I wouldn't have given this race as much attention as probably I would do other races, right? So it's not the race where you probably want to be losing your maiden tag, but that's the horse that I will be tipping up. It's going to be Mashadi, right? This horse hasn't had that many runs, only 7 starts, I think, on the turf. He's had a couple of all-weather starts as well. Now, changed trainer a couple of times, but back in the days when it was trained by Richard Hannon, or he was trained by Richard Hannon, exclusively raced at 5 furlongs. I say exclusively, I should do the old inverted commas because one was extended, it was 5.5 furlongs, but second over every single one of those trips. Just being a horse that hasn't lost his maiden tag yet, just looked like a horse that was probably a little bit rogue, but showed that he's got loads of ability, was running to RPRs back then of 84 and is on an official mark now of 84. Went to Dominic French-Davis for a run. They obviously decided, no, he's a bit of a dog, we're not going to keep him. And then he's gone to Kevin Philibert Defoe, so probably murdered that pronunciation, haven't I? But they seem to get some more like old horse out of him. So he's come second, fifth, and second. Been beaten a neck twice, been beaten a head once. 3 lengths when he was beaten when he came 5th. That was in a bigger field. That was first time blinkers, but they've kept the blinkers on. Next time up, I thought he was a little bit unlucky. And those runs this season have been over 6 furlongs, 7 furlongs, 6 furlongs, 6 furlongs. So obviously he wouldn't be having to go the same sort of clip in there. But we saw when he was first on the race course, he did have the speed to sort of go that pace. So I think the drop back to 5 furlongs is interesting. He's not a massive price. He's a general 10-1 poke. As Kate said, there's 5 places up for grabs. There are a few sneaky bookies doing 6 and 7 places out there. So I'd be having a small interest on Mashadi. Does look a nice, exciting race. I think David Egan's maybe back on him, and he did win the dash a couple of years ago. And I think that's probably important, right? For a race like this, it's quite niche, a 5 furlong dash when you've got so many runners in there. So you'll need a bit of luck. Mashadi hopefully gets some.
Mashadi, yeah, onto his 3rd trainer now in those Ammo Racing Silks. It doesn't surprise anyone though, does it, for this 3-year-old? But yeah, Kevin Philippart Defoe, who has had in this year, is getting the 5th run out of him. So he's holding on to a horse then in these sales. So well done to Kevin for that. So then it's going to be Mashadi for Dave. But Matty, who did you like?
Yeah, well, I think I imagine this race will be run at a furious clip, and there's pace angles from all over the field. And so I kind of want to be one who's going to kind of sit off the pace, can be comfortable travelling midfield, one that travels well, has a turn of foot, and there's not many better 3-year-old handicappers out there at the moment who possess the ability to do so, other than Billy Webster. And look, it was progressive on the all-weather last winter. He beat the horse that he beat first time, beat him again second time, even a £6 away, or £6 worse off. And all 3 of his wins have come over 5 furlongs, unbeaten over the trip. All 3 of his defeats have come over 6 furlongs, so dropping back will help. And if you watch back that race at Chester, he travelled out enough from stall 9, didn't have much of a chance, but he travelled all over them and just snuck to the inside, travelled really well, good turn of foot through the gap, and was overhauled by horses who stay further. So I think dropping down in trip will suit to a T. He's got proven ability to carry high weights and handicapped as well, twice off top weight. And but Liam Wright takes off 5, which will help. And I know I like to look at the trainer jockey kind of things. Liam Wright is not one for George Scott, but he does go well around, and he makes his Epsom Derby. He does go well around like sharp, speedy tracks like Lingfield and Wolves. So I think being able to ride those tracks well will suit him. And yes, I think, and also the ground as well. If he does stay on the soft side, Dam's a soft ground winner. By profitable, so it should suit. Yeah, I'm quite confident on Billy Webster.
I can tell. Good case made as well. 12-1 for Billy Webster. So in the first time, Blinkers and Liam Wright taking the £5 off of his back. Right, we're on to the dash proper now. So that was the 3-year-old edition. Now this is for 3-year-olds and over the dash. The fastest 5 furlongs in the world on the downhill slope. It's an absolute helter-skelter race. Terrifying to watch, let alone to ride in, I'd say. Obviously a heritage handicap though, and again as wide open as we always expect. Another each way plus race, 4 places on offer with BetMGM, and it is 13-2 the field. So Matty, I mean, where do you even start with the dash?
Yeah, this is the race that you just have nightmares about researching, don't you? Try to find the winner. Yeah. Sleepless nights, cold sweats, and but yeah, I think Lethal Nymph will go well. I know he's £4 out of the weights, but he's well handicapped in all the form. Aidan Brooks takes 5 off as well, so it's not too much of an issue, especially given that he recorded an RPR of 87 last time out too. So I'm not too discouraged by the fact he went off 82. And but yeah, I was at York when he was second to Starless last Saturday. And Starless was like a complete group horse in a handicap, even off, I think 105, I think it was off. Gone up to 114 now. And yeah, Lethal Nymph behind him, travelled really well. Emerged from a spell in the doldrums for Paul Midgley, who's in good form too. And he's unexposed over 5 furlongs, but posted an RPR of 95 on his first attempt to Albashire at Newcastle, and beaten a 1-length third. So I think if he backs up that form from York, then he's well handicapped to go well from the front.
Oh, he was on my shortlist as well as one of those bigger prize ones, so I just abandoned him. But now I'm slightly regretting next night. He's made a good case there. Dave, what are you thinking? Where do you start with this?
Well, I think I know who else is on your shortlist, and I think you're right to abandon Matty's selection for all that he does make a good case, because I know the cold sweats and those types of things normally come up, but this isn't the dash that we normally know, right? We've only got 15 runners. Clarendon House is throwing a handful of them out of the handicap. We've got a 10-runner dash for the first time ever. I went back to 2008, scrolling through the runners just to see when there was the last time we've had 15 or fewer runners in this race, and I can't see it, and I couldn't be bothered to go further back. This isn't your typical dash, right? We're not going to have to worry if the stalls are going to open. There's not going to be so many of them doing it. If anyone gets any luxury of that, there will be hustle and bustle in there, right? But it will not be the hustle and bustle of a typical race. And if it wasn't the hustle and bustle of a typical race, Silky Wilkie would have absolutely hacked up in this last year, hacked up in 5 furlong definitions, probably would have won by a head. He's £8 lower now. He's £19 better off with Clarendon House, who, like I say, is just putting the horses out of the handicap for it. He has 100% been trained with this race in mind. He's been putting RPRs together this season in excess of 100, right? And even his two that have been under 100 have been 98, 99. As I say, he's down £8 from last year. He was over off 107 in it last year. 99 he is now. He went up a couple of pounds, right? Because a couple of runs ago on heavy, he was a head behind Blind Beggar to show that he's in still some decent form. I cannot understand how this horse possibly gets beat. Now, I know obviously it's a 5 furlong sprint, right? We do need lots of luck in there. So you have to temper enthusiasm on that front, because I'm going to sound pretty confident on Silky Wilkie in here. They've got first time cheap pieces, which for me, possibly maybe worrying me a tiny bit, because if there's any reason for him to possibly get beat, it's not the form, it's not the mark he's running off. It's if the cheap pieces do something to him and wind him up and stop him running well. So that's the only thing that tempers my enthusiasm the slightest. But 15 runners, most bookmakers are offering 4 places. He's 5-1 top price style recording. I know he does show 32k on the screen, but I did drive to Hills and had to turn around and drive back because they're still showing their anti-post prices. But he's 5-1 top price. I think that's more than fair. There's lots of horses in and around him in the market, right? 5 or 6-1 that have got cases to be made that they're not well handicapped. I've already touched on the fact of the £19 swing with Clarendon House. Looking for Linda, just in behind Clarendon House that won last time, but I think he's just going to be a little bit behind. He was behind Night of Earth earlier the season, but Night on Earth, that was at course and distance, to be fair. Night on Earth's out the handicap now. Looking for Linda is £8 better off than that horse, but no horse is better handicapped than Silky Wilkie. I almost feel like I'm starting to get quite aggressive with how much I fancy Silky Wilkie. Like he's a proper horse. He's going to be a proper bet on Saturday as well. Silky Wilkie is, well, you possibly vying for nap status, I'd imagine. He wins.
Possibly.
He wins easy.
Possibly vying and wins easy in the dash of all races. But as Dave said, we have a smaller runner field now, and pesky Clarendon House is pushing them out of plenty of these horses out of the weights as well. So it is a very different looking dash, but very confident on Silky Wilkie. I'm sort of with you, but in terms of the stable, because I'm with the other Carl Burke runner in here, and that is the aforementioned looking for Linda, who's drawn in stall 1 here. But for all that, we think of the dash and we think coming towards the standside rail, the higher draws, that's where you want to be. And I know that we've got the smaller fields, so that congestion shouldn't be quite as bad. But I wonder if that's going to be in the psyche of a lot of jockeys also thinking it's not going to be as bad, and extra gravitate towards the standside rail. Because in recent renewals of this race, actually low to middle draws have been the optimal place to be. So I am not too put off the fact that Looking for Linda is drawn in stall 1 here, who's a really competitive horse as well. Now, I know he's only won 1 of his 12 handicap starts still, but I don't think that that's a reflection of his attitude. And Holly Doyle taking the ride here will have her work cut out to get him into that prominent position, but hopefully she'll still have the room because she's drawn out that bit wider. And his run last time out of York, really likeable, I thought. Of course, second off of a pound lower mark, still running from £4 higher than his last success, but he is running to a higher level than that anyway on the figures. And again, he ran well over this course and distance a month ago, Dave. The form line you just talked about there, second to Night on Earth, I can see that form being reversed, so on the basis of their subsequent runs more so than anything. And so he'll be the main play. But the one that I just about sided with over Lethal Nymph was mainly price dictated. Antiphon, I wouldn't put anyone off of this lad at a big price each way stakes, about 40-1 in here as well. Now he is £9 out of the handicap, as I say, pesky top weight, but Jack Doty taking £7 off of his back at least. I only sees him £2 wrong at the weights there. It is a big ass, but plenty in his favour. Nice drawing, still 6 of 15. Getting back to the 5 furlongs, and the 6 he faced last time out should also suit. Back to the 5 that he last won over when he faced that trip at Windsor as well. And he went back to that track last time out. 6 furlongs though. He tried to make all just collared in the closing stages, so the drop back should really suit him. And he's got plenty of early pace, as we know, is so crucial for the dash then in itself. So he might just be vulnerable in the closing stages to classy arrivals, but if he can just hold on for a place at a big price, I don't think he is without a shout. Right, we move on to the big one itself. Comes up at 4:30. Of course, the Group 1 Betfred Derby for the 3-year-olds over a mile. For City of Troy is still heading the way in the Derby at 7-2. Los Angeles, of course, all the talk was about his market move earlier on in the week and whether or not Ryan Moore would even be taking the ride. Such was the support that was coming for Los Angeles. Ancient Wisdom for Charlie Appleby and William Buick next in. But I mean, Dave, this is just a wide open derby. It's anyone's race. City of Troy, though, he's been drawn in 1. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's a really good race. Also, thank you for your 2 selections there, because you just made me more confident that Silky Wilkie have the race set up perfectly for him. This derby, like, it doesn't look on paper like it's one of the strongest renewals, right? But obviously we find out after Derby winners just how good the races are. I did a trends piece on this one, which I'll hopefully see if we can get the editor to stick a link up on there so you can go and have a check out of it, where it does sometimes help to whittle down the fields, right? Because there's been some reasonable price winners in the past and lots of them have ticked lots of boxes. I guess the one to talk about first before I tell you about the one that I fancy is just to talk about City of Troy, because he is the Derby favourite. He's been the talking horse all season, and he was ultimately very disappointing in that 2,000 guineas. And everyone keeps referring to the fact that he's in the same sort of mould as an Auguste Rodin that obviously won the race last year, and he would be another horse that typically wouldn't have ticked all the boxes on the trends. Now, the biggest thing I've noticed with City of Troy, which is actually slightly ironic, is the fact that he's really small. He doesn't look so much like he's a 3-year-old compared to when he was a 2-year-old. Looks like the same horse, but when he was a 2-year-old, he's managed to get himself to an official rating of 125. Now, most Derby winners, well, yeah, most of them is a fair way of saying it, 'cause it's 6 of the last 10, have been rated 118 plus. He's the only horse that ticks that box. So he still is potentially the best horse in the race. Obviously, being drawn in stall 1, as you touched on, Kate, would be another negative when you look at the trendy type stuff. But Adair went and won out of stall 1, and he was the best horse in the race. So there's lots of things to like. And when I've talked about Auguste Rodin, again, I'll get the editor to stick a picture up of Auguste Rodin winning last year. He's a teeny tiny horse as well. Like the pictures that will go up, watch the video back. He looks so small in this image. It's brilliant, right? And I just think that City of Troy is going to reach a point where everyone's saying Los Angeles is the one that's being bet. Was it going to be Ryan Moore's mount? All these types of things. City of Troy is just going to start reaching a point where it's almost like you kind of have to bet him. He's 7-2 top price at the time of recording. If he starts going 4-1 or bigger, although I will be tipping up something else in there, I'm sort of covering all bases, aren't I? But I will have to have a bet on City of Troy because he could just be a weapon. But enough of waffling about a horse that I might bet, I might not. But like he's definitely got a chance, right? And he's starting to get to a defensive price. The one that I do like at the time of recording is Ancient Wisdom. He did tick all of the boxes on the trend, so I'll quickly run through those. He's 11-2 top price at the time of recording, but he's a general 4-1 poke. So just reiterate on there, like I want to bet him anyway because he ticks the trends. He's a good price now, but I'd make him about like a 7-2 poke, so he might shorten up. So don't get too heavily involved. But on those like last 10-year trends, drawn stall 7 or higher, so he ticks that box. Obviously, City of Troy doesn't. Top 3 last time out, so ticks that box, but obviously City of Troy doesn't. Centre 5 or shorter last time out. He and City of Troy both do that. Had been beaten before, so that's the one where Los Angeles falls out the park. Ran 28 days ago or less, which is all of it, and then has raced at 9.5 furlongs plus. So again, that's the one that City of Troy wouldn't tick. But as much as trends are helpful for helping you to find some horses, like an Ancient Wisdom, you have to be careful when you use him, didn't you? But I do think he's a good horse, right? Second in this year's Dan E. And while both Golden Horn and Desert Crown won that race before doing the Derby success, it wasn't a race where he was really asked to do too much. Did go off favourite, but they never really looked like they were trying that hard as far as I'm concerned. So I think Ancient Wisdom has obviously got this race in mind. There is a little bit in his pedigree that might worry about stamina, but I think he's got horses in there as well, like Postbone. We know how good that horse was over a distance. Even got a champion chase winner in the breed, didn't he, from the same side, Dubawi, Dodging Bullets. So I think Ancient Wisdom's got a genuine proper chance. If City of Troy is just not the same horse as last year, then Ancient Wisdom's the one that takes advantage of it. So he would be my selection, but as I've said, like you can't, City of Troy's getting to a stupid price. Like I feel like we'd also be a bit stupid not to have a bet on him. So covering all bases in the Derby.
Very much so. How on earth has Dodging Bullets got a mention in a Derby preview as well? What? Of course, well, only Dave would make that work. Yeah, City of Troy is fascinating. Like I say, if he's getting to the sort of 4-1, I think he's a win and place lay type of bet for me, to be honest, because he could either absolutely blitz these and do an Auguste Rodin and show that he is just that far superior, or he can do what he did last time out. So he's just one of those nightmarish horses, Matty, to weigh up. But at least we've got betting ways to play it. And this is also 4 places on offer with BetMGM as well, each way plus race. So what was your angle?
Yeah, it's a fascinating race, isn't it? I think if you take City of Troy out of the equation, it looks like a very very poor Group 2. To be honest with you, it's not what you'd say. It's not lauded in quality at all. And just on City of Troy, like you've got to retain so much faith in Aidan O'Brien for this horse to win. Like that performance on the Guinness was just terrible. I know with August Rodin, there was kind of the ground excuses and stuff like that, but look, City of Troy was the first one beat. And I don't buy the stuff that he's not trained on. I don't think you can kind of judge that from one performance. But he just looks so poor, and it's such an important race for them to win. Like you imagine for a son of Justified to win a Derby and then go on to win a Breeders' Cup, it's a massive race for O'Brien, Culmore for them to win. And so you can imagine how much they'd want to do, but I just can't see it happening. Like you've got to retain so much faith. So I will pass him on and find something else. And also, Los Angeles, he's one of 4 horses by Camelot. Now, although Camelot won a Derby himself, albeit quite a weak one, his progeny haven't been lucky whatsoever in derbies or at Epsom in general. You think about English King a while ago, was hyped up to the next big thing. He was stuffed. Sir Dragonair was beaten. Pink Dogwood was beaten. And then, you've Spirits beaten. All these kind of good talking horses by Camelot who have come to the Derby because of who the sire is or in Epsom in general and just fallen short. So I think I wouldn't want to back Los Angeles. He looked quite slow as well last time out too. Ancient Wisdom as well. Again, progeny of Derby, tend to just fall short over trips like this. I think he'd be much better down in trip, 10 furlongs. And again, it was good. I know he was beaten by a very good horse at York, and you could argue that had he not been boxing at that vital stage, he would have finished closer. But he still looked quite slow, didn't he? I just wonder if the ground does dry out, whether he'd kind of enjoy it and be able to reel in the leaders. Ambiente Friendly, I know everyone's raving about him. Still feel sorry for Callum Shepherd being jocked off, and one of the most bizarre decisions I've seen in recent times. But the owners pay the bills, don't they? But yeah, the occasion could get to him. He's very, very buzzy 2-year-old, very buzzing his first start. And I know that he ran, obviously, he bolstered up at Lingfield, ran very well. But it's just, if the taking of the hood doesn't work second time up, I wonder if the occasion could get to him again. I thought Dancing Gemini shaped very well in the French Guinness last time out. But again, he's a Camelot, so which I don't want to rule him out just on his side. But I just wonder whether he'll stay as well. I think he didn't quite have that kind of. He had a turn of foot. I didn't share as if he would stay man on 4. Macduff again. I don't think he'll stay. Voyage, the maiden win. I've not a clue what he's doing in there at 20-1. Absolutely no chance. Although good luck to connections. Bellum Justin. I thought it was very impressive in the Blue Ribbon Trail last time out. Which I know course form is quite crucial around here, so I think he could go well at a price. And but I've gone for one rank outside, and then the Ballysax and a Dallas Star. Now, I don't think it was much of a fluke. I know it's easy to say that after he's won, but you look at his form from last season. He has some good form. He just a bit over the top, bit keen, bit raw. And he's come back this season as a much more bigger type, bigger model. Looks more well built, quite well balanced. And I know there was a soft ground, slowly run race, but he picked up really well from quite a sedate gallop in the Ballysax. Stuck his neck out to the line, shaped like he'll stay the Derby trip. And I know that he will probably need it soft, but if he does get it, I think he's one of the few pace angles who could get loose on the front end in kind of serpentine-esque fashion. And the Ballysax has been a good trial for horses in the Derby as well in recent seasons. So I think he's probably overpriced Dallas Star. And the other one, who I can't be confident in a horse that hasn't been seen before Christmas and hasn't even raced on turf. But we all said that about Notable Speech, didn't we? And it's Kamboo for Richard Hughes. Now, big price horse in recent years. You've had the likes of Hu Yamal, second to Desert Crown, 150-1. Only a York maiden win to his name. You had Khalifa Sat, Namran, Bifan, second and third to Shop and a Serpentine. And for whatever reason, in recent season, the Derby quality has depleted. I don't know what it is. Whether we're just kind of breeding weaker horses, I'm not entirely sure. Breeding for speed. And it's just, the quality does seem to deplete in year on year. We have one kind of very standout horse, and then it's a second, third, fourth, just kind of plodding along, taking the chances. And the more fancied horses they were beaten are just looked after. And so I do think that Kamboo possibly has a squeak for frame prices. Wouldn't behave. I presume he wouldn't behave. Richard Hughes and Connections didn't think he had a chance. And he was behind the promising Matsuri on debut at Kempton last season, before bolting up next time out over course and distance. Now, the 2nd and the 6th have both come out and won since, posting RPRs of 93 and 91. So there is slight optimism that it could be a 100+ horse. Obviously, we're not given a racing, so we don't entirely know yet. And obviously, it's sired by Ortad, but predominantly a sprinter, so not the obvious sire of a Derby. But he's by a Galileo Dam, who's a half-brother to Sir Eric. Yeah, obviously very talented but ill-fated Sir Eric. And then also with Marla as well in the project, the Grand Dam's house is to Marla. So there is stamina on the dam side, and you just think if he kind of gets a good position early on, takes to the ground, it could be one of those shock horses to kind of plod on for a place, or maybe even win, who knows. So Kamboo and Alistar for me.
Kamboo is 100-1 and Alistar is 40-1 as well. Top prices for both of those two. So 2 outsiders, but it is that kind of a year. So I'm not going to put anyone off of those type of horses in a race of this nature whatsoever. Also, Sir Eric Marla dodging bullets. What in the Cheltenham Festival preview is going on here? But yeah, I trust you to then chuck those names into the mix. Like it a lot though, and well dismissed of those previous ones. Yeah, Camelots are the most gorgeous looking horses of all time, but they are just those flatter to deceive types, and you expect the world from them, but that more often than not, you just don't get it. So that is definitely a concern for Los Angeles in here. City of Troy, as I said, I think I might just have to win, but the place lay then with him in terms of the way to back him. And Ancient Wisdom, I was just disappointed with him last time out, admittedly, for all that. Of course, we don't have the winner in here, Economics. It could just be a whole other level. But yeah, I just thought he looked a bit one pace there. So frustratingly, in the Derby model that is, I think that Ambiente Friendly is just the obvious one to be with in terms of a straightforward play for not a straightforward horse. So I totally agree with you where I do not like this jockey switch whatsoever. And it's of no disrespect to Rab Havlin whatsoever. He's a fine jockey. But when you've got a tricky horse with someone who knows the horse, that has been seen to winning effect on the horse and got the best out of him, why on earth would you change a winning combination? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. And we've seen in recent years the likes of English King, as you just mentioned there, disappointing when you've had a jockey switch. And I mean, it's not Frankie Dettori this time, but it's just, I just don't understand why anyone would do it. Some people may call it karma. Some people may call it just jockeys not knowing the horse as well as a previous winning jockey on them. So I'm not a fan of it. But I think that Ambiente Friendly has so much in his favour. And despite being keen last time out, the balance he showed down into the home straighties. And that form, to be fair, when I was originally looking at that race, it was, of course, the Derby trial. I hated the look of that race on paper. I thought, this is not form. Whatever happens, I'm going to want to follow. No way, because this is such a mess of a race on paper beforehand. But the Derby's a mess of a race, to be fair to it, on paper. And as soon as Ambiente Friendly did what he did, I think I've had to eat my own words and have to side with not that form, but that individual performance from Ambiente Friendly. So, and more importantly, he's got that early pace. And I kind of like the fact that he is an on the bridle type, because the first run up the hill is probably the most crucial part of the Derby nowadays. So you need a horse that's going to take you up there that you're not having to ask. So hopefully he'll get himself into a good position then. And he also has proven himself to have that stamina now to boot as he's developing. So I thought that Ambient Friendly would probably be the obvious one for me in the 2024 Derby. But they are our thoughts in the Derby. Let us know in the comment section below who you fancy for the Derby, because they are our scheduled races covered. So Matthew, I'll go back to you, please. Anything from anywhere else?
No strong fancies, but Pearl d'Or is back out at Doncaster on Saturday. And he was given a terrible ride at Ascot in the, I forgot which handicap it was, but I was quite keen in there. He was sent off favourite. Sylvester de Souza, rare poor ride from Sylvester de Souza, took him wide, all the action came down the near side. And I just think back on soft ground, if it stays how it is, I think Pearl d'Or will go quite well at Doncaster.
At Donny then, yeah, for Pearl d'Or to rewrite that wrong then. Dave, who do you like from anything from anywhere else?
I've got one of your best friends running, and we're keeping the National Hunt theme going because Anna Benin is back at 2 miles on good ground. She gets the best part of a stone from She Could Be Anything as the conditions of the race work out. Penultimate start in this type of company against the girls. She was being 24 lengths by the She Could Be Anything, but they're off a level weight. So I know you love Anna Benin. Alex Harvey's on. I think she's got a proper chance. That's the 225 at Listowel. Obviously, gamble responsibly. She is a quirky one, but good ground 2 mile. Anna Benin will win on Saturday.
Hopefully so. Yeah, she did me just about a turn with the extra places on offer at the Cheltenham Festival 33-1. So yeah, I've got a real soft spot for her. Right, naps. Now I'm pretty sure the both of you are going to go for this, but Dave, just to reiterate, unless you've thrown us the curveball, we're going to a dash.
Oh yeah, Silky Wilkie bolts up. I almost said something else. Silky Wilkie wins them easy.
Nicely restrained as well. We do admire that on this show. So Silky Wilkie for Dave. Matty, again, we've got a good suspicion where you're going, but just to confirm.
Yeah, it's a race card centered around a 1 mile 4 race, isn't it? But me and Dave are both going to go for naps in 5 furlong races. I'll go Billy Webster 3:10.
They're gluttons for punishment. They just love these 5 furlong, the fastest 5 furlong in the world, then on turf as well. And these are both taken aim at 2 of those individual handicaps as well, then for it. I'm going to go down the sort of middle distance route, not really, over the 1.5 miles in the Diomed Stakes. Regal Reality in a muddle of a race. Hopefully he can win the race for a 2nd year running. Right, that's everything from us on this week's show. So big thanks to Dave and to Matty for all of their hard work as per usual. Big thank to our sponsors, BetMGM. A bigger thank you to you for watching. Best of luck with your bets this weekend and enjoy the 2024 Derby.